everybody, and welcome to the Interactive Distractions video review for Shank 2. I'm your host, Glenn Burgess, the Interactive Distractions producer and writer. So let's get right into it. Shank 2 is a side-scrolling beat-em-up with some platforming elements, some, mind you, brought to you by Klei Entertainment. In the game, you play as a grizzled, beefy, and surprisingly coordinated drunk named Shank. You make your way through a series of environments by scratching, clawing, shooting, chainsawing, and just all-around eviscerating your enemies. So let's go ahead and get started. You start out by choosing a series of weapons for your loadout. There's surprisingly a lot to choose from, but once you pick your poison, it doesn't really take long for you to get into trouble.
Look at this clown.
Yeah, he probably deserved that. As you can see, the combat in this game can be, well, quite bloody. For button mashing, though, you certainly feel like you're doing a lot more varied moves than you actually are. It's also very satisfying to use the game's pounce mechanic to claw your enemies to shreds with only a couple of shivs, or perhaps a chainsaw, if that's what you have available. And there's always something to be said for the ability to overhand throw your enemies. Of course, being Shank, it doesn't take too long before some resistance somewhere wants to recruit you to do something.
That was crazy stuff you pulled there. Are you part of the rebellion?
What rebellion?
The rebellion against Magnus's new army. The new army was supposed to eliminate cartels, but they just seem to be taking over where the cartels left off. Drug smuggling, kidnapping, and now murder.
After this offer, you clearly need a drink to think things over.
So, you finally come home.
Whoa, and who's this curvy glass of cool water right here?
Karina.
Oh, of course. Thanks, Shank. She goes on about rebellion, blah, join up and help us, yada, yada. Okay, so it's all pretty cliche. But you know, at least Shank doesn't play the dark, mysterious action hero with a troubled past who drowns his problems in... Alright, anyway. So the game is pretty solid, though sometimes you may feel that your inputs don't go in as swiftly as you give them. Mostly, I found this to be annoying when changing directions. I wound up slashing at an empty space on more than one occasion. You're at least rewarded fairly regularly in the game, though, with some new hardware.
You may need this.
Dual-wielding pistols and Molotov cocktails are just a few of the spices that flavor this fillet of a game. Another would be the amount of mini-bosses you'll come across. Each has a slightly different trick in taking them out, so don't think you can just hack and slash through everything in this game. Sometimes you're just gonna need a little patience.
While you were getting drunk, Magnus's thugs took her away. You can catch the 10 o'clock bus out of town.
Not this time. I'll find her.
So aside from your regular unlockable weapons, you'll come across some tough characters that leave behind little presents for you. For instance, a giant shovel. You can find all kinds of cool ways to integrate them into your combat, which really helps keeping things from getting too stale. There are also quite a few ways to use your environment to help kick ass, not the least of which is stomping enemies to sticky piles of what looks like chewed gum with a shipping container. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but you may or may not also fling a shark around on a crane to hit people. Just saying. The bosses are pretty fun to fight as well. Even though some can be quite frustrating, it's still really fun in that what will he do next kind of sense. Some even come complete with their own cliche catchphrases. Now, as fun as this game is, it's not to say it's without its really moments. Sometimes it can be pretty easy to break the game in your favor. Other times it seems like it's impossible to get ahead due to how many people you have to slash to ribbons. That being said, it was not so plagued that it caused me to walk away. And as I'm pretty sure if I rate this game poorly, Shank will come kill me in my sleep, I'm giving this game a major distraction.